U.S. military officials have not ruled out the possibility of a chemical weapons attack from Russia against Ukraine. The White House is continuing to monitor the very latest closely, of course. This afternoon, the moderator of CBS's Face the Nation, Margaret Brennan, joining us live from Washington, D.C. to break down the latest response. Of course, Margaret, always great to see you on a Friday afternoon. The president has said Russia will pay a severe price if they use chemical weapons in Ukraine. Margaret, do we have any idea this afternoon of what that would look like?
We don't. The president was vague, perhaps deliberately so, saying severe consequences. But the question is, what does that mean? Does that mean that the president would change his calculus? To date, President Biden has been clear: no U.S. combat troops and no U.S. air support for the people of Ukraine. But if something as horrific as chemical weapons were used, does that mean that it changes the appetite of the West? Would they be willing to intervene to stop or limit a humanitarian catastrophe? There are a few things in war that are viewed as just too brutal and horrific to use. At least that's what the decision was after the First World War, and chemical and biological weapons are on them. That's why they are banned. So the question is, what price would be paid? And if there is no military intervention, what is left to tell Vladimir Putin, don't cross this line? We have a big, deep look at this, both with the National Security Advisor to President Biden and some top economists to talk about what is left when it comes to this financial warfare.
You have a big show coming up here on Sunday. The conflict has sent oil prices soaring in Oklahoma. Our average price of a gallon of gas, $3.79 this afternoon. We're finally rebounding, Margaret, financially from the pandemic. I understand on Sunday you'll have an economic expert, several of them on your show. How are the events on the other side of the world impacting us here as a consumer?
This conflict 5,000 miles away is not just impacting your gas tank. It is impacting the price of wheat. That means products that involve wheat, bread, for example, will get more expensive. There are concerns from the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, that you could see food shortages in parts of this, in parts of the globe, particularly in vulnerable places. That could lead to instability. You also have concern about a spike in prices of minerals and metals. The battery costs, for example, the Treasury Secretary warned the cost that the price you pay to buy a set of batteries is going to go up. Car parts are going to go up. So there is a real trajectory here for inflation that only looks like it climbs higher. And we are already at 40-year highs. We're going to try to level set for the American public to say what you can expect. And so much of this is wrapped up in how long this war lasts and if supply chain constraints can be relieved, because coming out of this pandemic, that was still a problem. And by the way, there is a political cost to all of this.
I'd like to quickly end, if I may, on this. Today, of course, marking 2 years since COVID-19 shut down the United States. You have the CEO of Pfizer on your show Sunday. What can we expect in year 3 of the pandemic?
Well, the CEO of Pfizer laid out a number of things. They were the first company to have an effective vaccine available to consumers. We'll talk to him about one that might be soon available for children 5 and under. We also talked to him about what we need to expect as adults in the year ahead. We talked to him about whether we need to think of a COVID shot like a flu shot, where we go back every year and get a new one that's rebooted for a variant. So we talked to him about managing the pandemic, because now every single state in this country has lifted the mask mandates. And it's a question now of just, can we manage through this now that we have effective treatments?
All right, Margaret, we wish we were in Washington, D.C. Snowy and 30s in Oklahoma today, 61 and sunny, I understand, there in D.C. Margaret, thank you so much for your time. We certainly appreciate it. We will be watching, as we do each Sunday, Face the Nation right here on Channel 6.